everybody, and welcome back to One Patriot. I am Libby Lou Patriot, and I am joined by
BSP. Thank you guys for joining us again. I am at a park right now because the place that I have has bad reception. So I apologize for the video, but I'm here and you will have my thoughts. So I will let Libby Lou explain our topics today, and we're going to go through them point by point. I also wanted to talk about some other things, some other events that happened, and we're going to just go by step. Go ahead. You can go ahead and let the audience know what we are going to be talking about.
Well, it sounds like there might be some surprise events. I'm excited.
Yeah, I have a lot of opinions on certain topics, but we'll get to them.
We love your opinions. So, yeah. All right. Well, the main topic that we wanted to talk about tonight was Caitlyn Jenner running for governor of California.
Mm-hmm.
So, and kind of touching on, what does that look like for California? What does that look like for the GOP party, GOP, and what that could mean for the future?
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this is going to be played out, because the left has been all about identity politics, and Caitlyn Jenner being a transgender person, it kind of throws a wrench in the idea that all transgender people are on the left, when that's not necessarily true. I'm kind of holding reservations back on the, I have my reservations of, on this, because Caitlyn Jenner is, even though she may say that she's a Republican, even though she may say that she's a conservative, she's a part of a family that is very, very Hollywood, very, very much into the culture of Hollywood. And that is a culture that is 100% the opposite. It's a complete 180 of conservative values, or conservative culture. So it's going to be interesting to see what her policy is. It's going to be interesting to see where is she going to go with this. I want to know her foreign policy. Is she going to be one that is going to be protecting the borders? Is she going to be somebody who is, a person who is going to, what is her stance on transgender people in the military? From last I heard, she was for having transgender people in Navy SEALs and spec op groups, which I'm 100% opposed to. So we'll see where it goes. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you bring up a lot of valid points. I know that she's described herself as financially conservative and then progressive socially.
Yeah.
So I think that's a dangerous combination for the GOP and conservatives in general. One of two things. My thought is, it could potentially open up more conversation with left-leaning people, with Democrats, to okay, well, maybe not all Republicans are terrible, horrible human beings. But that said, what does that then usher into the Republican Party, right? What does it open up the door to?
Yeah, exactly. And that's my concern. It's it seems like the Democrats are going further left, but the culture is pulling Republicans to the left too. So it's like, okay, we let Caitlyn Jenner, who is Caitlyn Jenner, who is a transgender woman, to become a leader of the Republican Party. When her, like you said, her social, maybe her social policies or politics are more to the left. And that's not something we necessarily need, because that's something that we, conservatives have been fighting against. We don't want to go to the left. We want to go more to the center or more to the right, So
Absolutely.
Why? I'm sorry?
Oh, I said absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, what are we compromising here,
Yep.
It's like, it seems like the right is always compromising, is always being pulled to the left. And I don't know if that's the direction that I want to go in.
I don't think it is. I think that there needs to be that delineation. Maybe not quite as divisive as we are currently as a country, but I think it brings a nice balance. The other thought I had too, though, is, while she is claiming, she's fiscally conservative, and then she also claimed, she's like, I believe in limited government, small government, which I support. I think that's great. But then I started thinking about it, I'm like, but you opposed, I believe it was Title IX. Like, she got very upset when Trump repealed the transgender protection for kids, where they could use the bathrooms that aligned with their identities.
Yeah, and like, that's exactly what I'm talking about,
Yeah, so in a sense, it's like that's hypocritical, because you want to bring on all these regulations to tell people how they need to feel, and overstepping, I think, is really.
What do you think about those that say that rejecting what is it? Title IX is to allow transgender children to get the hormones and everything, right? Or is it against?
I don't think that's the one. That Title IX was, I can't remember if it had hormone specifically in that. I do know that it was a bill that gave federal guidelines to schools that required them to let children use the bathroom that was in alignment with their gender. So transgender young girls able to use the locker room and facilities with biological girls, or vice versa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and that also, I think that also goes against, what I would consider conservative values, and trying to conserve traditional. I'm gonna try to move because the lighting sucks. I apologize.
Okay, I'm personally just glad you were able to join.
Yeah,
we missed out a couple videos, as I'm sure.
Yeah,
our droves of followers.
Oh man, I think the park is about to close.
Oh no, is it?
Yeah.
Well, we'll double time talk.
Okay.
But no, and I think another concern that I heard her talking to, I believe it was Seth Meyers on his show. And this was a couple of years ago, talking about like, the backlash that she faced for voting for Trump. And then she mentioned things and said, I couldn't, sorry, let me back up. Seth Meyers said, would you play golf with him? Because I heard you had an invite. And she said, I could never do that, because essentially the LGBTQ community would crucify her. And it's like, that immediately is a red flag to me, because that's someone that's going to cave under pressure.
Yeah.
From her declared community. That's who she defines as her community, who she's trying to protect.
Absolutely.
That's a big red flag.
You're not a leader.
You're not a leader. You're not looking out for, at that point, all of the citizens of California. You're looking out for the benefits of, on behalf of the LGBTQ community of California.
Yeah.
So that would be my concern.
Yeah. And that, yeah, like you said, that's a 100% red flag. How can you're going to be representing an entire state?
Mm-hmm.
There are actually a lot of red counties in California. It's not all, super liberal, There are a lot of people that you're going to be representing that are conservatives in that state. And I think California has, if you want to be technical, they are like one of the top 10 states or top 8 states with the most amount of Republicans in there. So it's like, you're going to be representing those people.
Mm-hmm.
And are you going to cave under pressure? Like every time, something like that comes up that may be what you feel or what the LGBT community feels that is against them, are you going to cave under pressure every time? Like, come on. I don't know. I have no confidence in this person because, like you said, she caved under pressure when they try to associate her with Trump.
Yep.
Why are you caving under pressure with that? Like, if you're friends with Trump or you have an association with Trump, then own it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't cave under pressure because a certain community or a certain group of people are upset with who you're friends with.
Right.
It shows no loyalty. It shows that you can be bought. It shows that you can be paid for. It just doesn't sit well with me. And that's not a strong leader.
Correct. I mean, let's be honest. I think anyone's going to be better than Gavin Newsom at this point, but
well, yeah,
that's not a high standard to beat. So,
yeah.
I did want to touch on the military a little bit too. I think it's, like you said, interesting. Not interesting, even. It's disappointing that, there's such a backlash. I understand not wanting, being upset that trans people in general can't join the military, right? But like you said, special ops.
Yeah, like any spec ops or any kind of like Navy SEALs, Green Beret. These people are being put in life and death situations, and they have people whose lives are on the line. If you have somebody who is continuously, on medication, a lot of transgender people are battling depression. And if one of them misses their medication and they are having one of their, states of depression and they're not up for the mission, then a mission that has, lives on the line, why would I want that person on my team?
Right.
Is that person going to be watching my 6? Or are they going to be moping and depressed about not being accepted in, or not being accepting of their body?
Yeah.
And I don't need any of that.
Yeah. I mean,
if I'm in that spec ops group, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things, and I don't think it has anything to do with discriminating against LGBT or transgender people. I think it's just a life and death.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody on most medication should be permitted.
Yeah, and that doesn't even. Yeah, that's not even.
Just a
You
general.
need to be 100% healthy,
right?
Mentally and physically.
Like, I mean, think about diabetes. Like, would you send someone into a special op with diabetes that, like, if they got held behind lines or whatever, that they would potentially die? And then it's
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
not. I would not
If
do
they
that.
were, if they didn't have their insulin, you know, it's like,
Right. Yeah, absolutely not. I would not put that person in that situation. And I know there's been this big push for equity of outcome, equality of outcome, and am I saying that right? Equity of outcome or equality of outcome?
it's two different conversations. Apparently, there's equality, and then there's equity. So, equity meaning like equal. There's like an analogy of a fence. Anyway, and so like everyone's given the same size box, but not everybody's the same height, right? So
Yeah.
that's equality. Everybody gets the same box, but equity is shorter people would get an extra box to stand on. Anyway, not to derail us too much, but but yeah. So that's about all my thoughts on Caitlyn Jenner at the moment. Anyhow, let's see how it unfolds. Did you want to move into your surprise topics?
Yeah. I'm gonna get in my car because they have towing people here.
Oh no.
I'm like, I need to get out of here. I don't know. I guess I'll just drive around for a while. I'm sorry. You guys might lose my picture, but my voice is still here. But yeah. What were we talking about?
Moving on to your surprise topics.
Oh, so yeah. I mean, this is not really a surprise topic. This is just a topic that I wanted to like touch on. Because this is a topic that everybody has been talking about. And the topic is obviously the whole, thing with the, BLM and their activists, the athletes who are now activists, how they are responding to certain situations and certain events that have been really pissing me off. One of the events was the situation with the girl who was stabbed, who tried to stab the other girl. The police officer that showed up to the situation or the incident used perfect policing, and he only had 15 seconds to make a decision.
Yeah, I think that
he ended
22 seconds was the countdown.
Was 22 seconds? Okay, so. Sorry, but that, I mean, shoot, that is
under a minute.
That is under so much pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, for those that don't know, the police officer was put in a tough spot. He had to make a decision on whether to, protect another life or just let the thing unfold. And he made the right decision by stopping the deadly threat. So the response to that was just, I could not believe it. I just could not believe how they tried to demonize this guy, demonize the police officer. They tried to make this guy look like he was a 100% evil person. He should have shot her in the leg. He should have shot her in the hand. I heard somebody else. He should have shot her in the hand and shoot the knife out of her hand.
If he would have shot the knife out of her hand, he would have shot the other girl.
Yeah, so you want him to take the risk of shooting a smaller target and actually hitting the other girl he's trying to save. These people think that these police officers are like, they think that it's a movie or something. You know what I mean? Like as if it's like some kind of like these police officers are RoboCop or something.
Like they're all
I don't know.
Wick. It's like
yeah, it's like you're crazy. And LeBron James in particular really pissed me off, because here you have a guy who puts a bounty on this police officer's name, puts a bounty on this police officer who did the right thing. There was a criminal who was about to take somebody's life, and he stopped the criminal. And the victim that the criminal was going after was another Black girl. And I hear all of this stuff about this police officer being racist and this police officer being such a horrible human being. Let's say that this police officer was racist. Wouldn't the racist thing to do would be to just let this girl stab this other Black girl, and let the Black girl stab the second Black girl that was in the altercation, and then he would have all the rights in the world to shoot the Black girl with the knife.
Yeah.
And then you would have 3 dead Black girls.
3?
That wouldn't that be what a racist would do? You could kill 3 birds with 1 stone. Except he say, huh?
3 girls?
Yeah, because you remember the girl that was on the ground?
Oh, right.
Where the other Black man kicked her in the head? She
Yeah.
stabbed that girl and pushed her on the ground.
She was stabbed?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I hadn't heard that piece. She was stabbed?
Have you seen the video?
I knew that she fell down. I hadn't seen that she was actually stabbed.
She stabbed her.
Wow. It's just child's play, right? Just a knife fight.
Yeah, exactly. So LeBron put a bounty on this police officer's head, and I was livid. I was angry. I mean, I made a video on my channel, and I have never made a video where I was just so angry. I was dropping F-bombs. I was cursing throughout the entire video, just like pissed off that this piece of crap, LeBron James, would do that. After coming right after the conviction of Derek Chauvin. And you're putting a bounty on this good police officer's life. Yeah. And that really that did not sit well with me. LeBron James is a fraud. He's a coward. He's a bitch for China. And I have no respect for him whatsoever as a human being. Yeah. The only thing I respect about him are his basketball skills. And that is it. As a human being, as a man, I don't respect him at all.
I think it's disgraceful, really. And I think it's disgraceful that there's no repercussion from the NBA. Because now they're in a position where they couldn't possibly reprimand him, right? Because they've set themselves up in this virtue signaling cycle. And so now if they're like, you can't say that, it's like you're trying to silence a Black man. Or if they just from the beginning would be like, we're not making political statements, we're not going to do this virtue signaling, and now it's like, well, I guess
they're all quiet. Yeah, they're all quiet about this now. I mean, not only that, to piggyback off of that, what is the media's response to this? If this was, let's say this was a white athlete, right? And he said the inverse, right? He would lose all his sponsors. He would be banned from the NBA. He would be ostracized from society, and he would have nothing. He would be completely silenced and canceled. But because he's LeBron James, and Candace Owens said it perfectly when she said that this is Black privilege. Yeah. Want to talk about white privilege? This is Black privilege.
White privilege doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist anymore, at least not in society, like in social culture, and at least not in our culture. It doesn't exist.
No, I will concede that it has existed.
Yeah, maybe for a time, but like it's gotten to the point to where there has been a complete 180. There has been a complete 180, and all the protected classes in the United States are are protected. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. They're like overly protected to the point to where it's like, if you are, the roles have been reversed.
Yep. Did you, sorry, speaking of role reversal, there is sorry, and this is a segue, or not segue. Anyway, detour. Did you see that school that had 2 separate Zoom links for parents of color and the white parents? There's 2 different Zoom links.
Well, yeah.
Newsletter that they sent. It's like, are you serious? Is this for real? How is this happening? How is this role regression and role reversal happening? Like,
well, the left wants to bring back segregation.
Yeah,
exactly. They want to do that so bad. They want to bring back segregation. Because the grift for a lot of these people is to keep we need, in order for the left to have relevance, the country has to be divided. Because if we are all getting along, if we are all, if we all put the identity politics in the garbage, then the left has nothing to stand on. The left has nothing to complain about. The left has nothing to campaign on, to get into power. That's how they get into power, to keep people divided.
Absolutely. And I think
you are oppressed, so you need to vote for me because I'm going to fight for you.
Yep.
Because their ideas suck so much. Their ideas are so garbage that they need, the only thing that they have is identity politics.
Right. Well, I think
and they do it in a deceitful way. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. It's 100% deceitful. It's twisting and manipulative. I think it comes into the bigger picture of ideological subversion, where, you have Yuri Bezmenov, and I know I've mentioned him before a few times, I'm sure, but I'm just like, why aren't people seeing it? It's like this, keeping us divided like this is not only one, like, political, it gets people in power, but what's the bigger picture here? And I don't think people are considering that in the capacity that they should. So
yeah, and that's why you have to have people, I mean, the left has people like LeBron James, the left has people like BLM, they have people like Kamala Harris who will continue to spew this lie that there is systemic racism in this country, which is 100% false, 100% lie. You have to keep your constituents believing that they are oppressed.
Yep, because
if you don't, then you serve no
right.
I'm sorry.
You have to be able to be their savior, right? As a politician,
yeah.
Like, pick me, yes, I will save you. And it's like, the hell you will. Like,
yeah, because they can't, exactly, because they can't win on actual ideas.
Because even if they had these amazing, great ideas, well, one, it doesn't, we could go on a whole side rail there, but they're not actually going to do anything with the ideas, right? You have very few,
at least not ideas that are going to solve problems.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And even if they did have the ideas, they're not going to do anything to move forward with those plans and those ideas. It's going to get lost in the political rigmarole and lost in bureaucracy. So they got to be
right. Exactly. And then they're going to blame the Republicans afterwards.
Yeah. Exactly.
See, the reason why we couldn't do this was because the Republicans and the conservatives stopped us. The evil racists stopped us from doing this. A bunch of BS.
It's a shame.
But yeah, I mean, I was, through that whole, like, going back to what we were talking about earlier, I was so mad
I think
at
that's
LeBron James. This
the
guy
maddest.
has,
I think that's the
yeah,
maddest I've ever seen you.
yeah, this whole thing, there, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say, like, how could you turn that situation on and against the cop? How?
Because the truth is that they don't care about the other girl's life. Honestly,
They don't.
nobody would have cared if she was stabbed, right? Like nobody.
I mean that's pretty apparent, because they were actually highly influential people were saying, highly influential people from the Democrat Party, highly influential people within the Black community were saying that the police should not have interfered.
Right.
They should have just let them duke it out, because, like you said earlier, it's just a schoolyard fight.
Yeah.
Even though there was a knife involved.
It's a squabble.
And that same day,
sorry, go ahead.
That same day, there was another incident where a 13-year-old girl was killed by a knife in the same state.
Yep.
But there's no uproar about this.
Of course there's not. Of course there's not. Do you think people are uproaring Adam Toledo, right? The little homicide. Did anybody care about his life? Did anybody care at all that he was involved in gangs? Had anybody made any public outcry about we need to stop this gang violence, at least in any major capacity in the way that we're seeing? No, because no one gives a damn. No one gives a damn about these kids until it fits their narrative, and it's disgusting.
Well, there was the thing where I saw that there was an actual political activist that was talking. He was out in Baltimore, I think it was Baltimore, where he was saying, he was calling out the media. And there was this camera lady, the media, a camera lady from the press, and she was like filming him. And he was speaking about the media and how they only come around when there is a police officer killing another Black man. But what about what happens when another Black person takes a Black person's life? The media is nowhere to be found. They only come around when they can incite division in the country. And you could see how you could see the woman, she just turned around, turned her camera off and left. And he called her out. He said, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. And you could see how she's just walking away. And it was just like, wow, that's just proof right there. They don't care. They're only there to cause division amongst the country, in the country.
Yeah, because when you want to talk about media, that's what pays their bills.
Mm-hmm.
Gets the clicks. It's what gets the engagement. They need that division. So
yeah, it's a disgrace. It's really bad,
Yeah.
It's just frustrating.
It is frustrating, and it's frustrating. I won't go too far off on the ideological subversion too much, but there's like at a certain point, a part of it, you hear Yuri talking, and it's like at a certain point, there is no reasoning. You're just going to be frustrated. There's no logic that you can like provide people in the massive, at least when they're past a certain point, that's going to change their mind, and it is frustrating. I did also, like, just speaking of, we're talking about police officers and Chauvin, and apparently there's a juror that's now flat out has been interviewed saying, I was terrified of riots. I was terrified of repercussions.
Yeah, she was an alternate juror.
No, there was an alternate juror, but I believe there was someone else now. I could have my
there's someone else?
There's someone else.
Well, yeah, he's going to win on appeal then.
Yeah, he should. It's a mistrial. First
Should
of
be a
all,
mistrial. It should be a if you like he can isn't that grounds for like, oh, the reason why I made that decision because not because of the evidence was it was because of BLM, the intimidation from BLM and these
oh,
groups
having
out here that were threatening to burn my city down.
yeah, they're threatening. Um, they're throwing pig's blood on homes and like
Yeah,
doxing.
on
I'm
the witnesses'
sorry.
home.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa, that's not supposed to be terrifying to these jurors. You're
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, like the judge did a terrible job when it came to that.
Awful.
I'm sorry, everybody's giving this judge praise. I don't understand it. Why is this
Why?
guy getting praise? I don't know what the. I've even seen on Fox News like they were giving this guy praise. Like, what
He
praise does this guy deserve?
awful.
This guy did not. This guy allowed. This guy allowed for this trial to be unfair to Derek Chauvin. And I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says, but I'm always he did not get a fair trial. He
he,
didn't.
there's no way he could have a fair trial. Those jurors, even if they were sequestered, which they should have been,
Mm-hmm.
it's still not a fair trial. And
Yeah.
the fact that the judge gave warnings on specific pieces, like do not allude to this evidence, do not touch on this evidence. It's past the submission. You cannot touch on it. And they still touched on it. He gave the
Mm-hmm.
warning and he still didn't
And
call it.
nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Yeah, he still went on with the trial. That's what I'm saying. How is that a good judge? I don't like.
No.
Why is this? They were giving this guy praise. Like even Giuliani, I was surprised that he did that. Like that he said that this judge did a good job. I'm like, did he?
No.
Did he do a good job? Oh, come on. He didn't do a good job. He didn't. He wanted. He did everything he could to help out the prosecution. He may have given the warning, but he never act on what he said. He said that if they use this will be grounds for a mistrial if they use that evidence, and they still used it, and he did nothing. He just wagged his finger at them.
Yep.
And that was it. What a bunch of BS.
Bark but no bite, right? He played the role that everybody wanted to see. That's what he did.
It was a joke, man. Like Derek Chauvin did not.
Trial. No nonsense.
It was bullshit, man. He got convicted in the court of public opinion.
Yep.
And that was it. There was no actual real trial. His conviction was before he even had a trial. They were just going through the motions on this.
Yep. And
whatever. I don't, that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, but the thing is now it's like set this precedent for mob mentality ruling. And it's like, where does this end? Like, how many times can we riot and sway huge historic cases because of mob mentality? They've proven it works.
And they're passing this little bill on like police reform, and now how these police people, like, even though they could be following procedure, the citizens have now grounds to sue the police officers. It's going to be crazy. Now, I don't why. Here's my thing. What you're doing is you're pretty much cutting the balls off of the police departments, because what you're going to do is you're not going to get the best of the best anymore. Because nobody in their right mind is going to want to join the police force.
No.
Nobody who is talented, smart, and capable of doing the job of police work is going to want to do police work anymore. So what you're going to get is a bunch of lackluster people who are going there only for a paycheck. People who you're going to get garbage police officers. And the problem is just going to continue.
Yep.
So who in their right mind would join any kind of police force? I remember on the news today, I saw how they were talking about how this 30-year veteran was telling their sons never to join the police force because of the direction that it's going in right now. Because the mayors are not backing up in these blue cities. The mayors are not backing up the police. The police chiefs, a lot of times, aren't backing up the boots on ground police officers.
Nope.
And it's just going to be a disaster. It's going to be a disaster.
Right. Because what you're going to see is reduced quality police officers. They're going to be terrified. Being sued, go to jail. And simultaneously, we're going to see crime rates increasing, right?
Yeah. Which you saw what happened in Minnesota.
Disproportionately going to affect Black communities, right? Because you want to talk about violent crime rates. So you're going to see more violent crime in Black community, less protection for these communities. Yep. It's like, oh, this sounds like a winning combination. Awesome.
Yeah. But here's the thing. That's what they want. That's exactly what they want, because they want this because the problem is still going to be there. It allows for the problem to still exist. So the Democrats are going to be able to keep power. The Democrats are going to be able to keep power. As long as the problem exists, the Democrats can say, oh, these communities need more of this. These communities need more of that. More of the same. You know what I mean? The reason why we're not doing the reason why we're not fixing the problem is because we don't have enough of the same of what we have been doing. Right. We don't have more of the same of what we've been doing. And it goes for education. These big cities get a ton of money in education.
Oh yeah.
They get a ton of money in police, these police departments get a ton of money in these big blue cities. These any kind of institution that you can think of, they get plenty of money, like, because they're taxed the most.
Yeah.
So
I want to just thinking on that thought, like this defund the police movement, right? Talking about finances. I just want to know, in this specific case that happened in Columbus with the stabbing. Okay, so you want to defund the police and get social workers. What the hell was a social worker going to do in that situation?
Yeah, the social worker is going to
the police stop that situation from happening.
Well, you saw what happened in Minnesota. They defunded their police, and
it's going
the crime rate skyrocketed.
Yep.
And now they're begging for their police to come back. And they're now having, I think I saw something to where they were having, they were paying people to fill out applications for the police. I don't know what city it was.
What I think will sadly end up, I don't know, maybe it won't happen, but I could see happening is that if we don't want to go into military state, there becomes police draft. Is there a police draft? Is that what happens? Like, you got to serve. Is
that what you think is going to happen?
I could see it happening. It's like,
oh my gosh.
And what a nightmare that would be, right?
Don't give them any ideas.
I know, but I don't know. I could see it happening because we're going to have some solution, but people are going to freak out if military come in, right? So
yeah,
they may enact a draft.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. These Democrats are freaking insane. They're insane.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're, and they're trying to do everything to stay in power, and they're willing to go insane to do that. So, like you said, they want to keep the problem going. Instead of addressing the real issues in the community, they're trying to point the finger at individual police officers, and they are trying to make it to they're painting all police officers with the same broad brush. There's no way that this situation even the situation with the girl compares to Derek Chauvin, and that's what they try to do.
No. Not even, I mean, go off on a tangent, I'm sure, about George Floyd and his cause of death.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think that it was second degree murder. I think that
No.
was overcharging, and the only reason they got that charge is because the pressure
Exactly.
that was put on the jury, like we touched on earlier. Like that was the only reason. I mean, you can argue manslaughter. I think you can argue manslaughter. I mean, if I'm going by the facts, I probably would have let him go off not guilty on any count. But I would not be. I can sit there and have a good debate with somebody about if somebody came at me, no, he deserved manslaughter. Okay, I can have a debate with you. I can reasonably have a good debate with you. And your points, I would respect your view, your point of view on that. But if you're saying second degree, nah,
no,
there's no way that was second degree. I'm sorry, and I would never concede to that.
No, 100% agreed, and it doesn't compare with these. Honestly, I'm going to call it this. This is the real epidemic. What's happening to our youth, right? Like, there's no comparison between George Floyd and what happened with this 13-year-old girl. Like you said, I think we really need to look at.
You mean the 16-year-old girl?
Well, the 13-year-old and the 16-year-old, but yes, specifically with the officer.
The 13-year-old. Oh yeah.
You know, the 13-year-old that killed the other 13-year-old girl.
Oh yeah.
15-year-old that murdered an Uber Eats driver. Like,
yeah,
the list goes on and on and on and on and on. These babies that are being shot in the street to gang violence, like, but at the hands of other babies. Like,
yeah, the baby that got killed in the baby that got 7-year-old baby that got killed in the McDonald's driveway or drive-through.
Right.
I didn't hear LeBron saying anything about that, holding anybody accountable. He won't hold any of these gangs accountable. I hate how, why are we just like, oh, that's just gang activity, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
That's just gang activity.
That's...
We have to.
Oh.
Like, here's what it is. Here's how I compare it. You are, let's say that you have a really, really fat guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he has like a big, really, really big toe, and you're complaining about that the fat man has a big toe. Why not look at the whole issue? You know what I mean? Like, what the hell? Like, there's a issue with like, this guy his whole body is unhealthy, but you're just complaining about his big toe.
Right.
That's, it's crazy.
It's a great
I don't understand. Huh?
I don't know why we're not looking to the root of these issues, right?
That's what I'm saying. The root of the issue, and the root of the issue is there is poverty in these communities, which leads to criminals, drugs, and violence.
Mm-hmm. And
we're not even close to addressing those issues.
No.
And there's also an issue with values.
Absolutely.
There's also an issue with fathers not being in the home. There's an issue with education. And nobody wants to address this stuff, but
because then it does. You're racist for talking about it.
Yeah, you're a racist for talking about it. You're a racist for, or what if there's
what I've been told is that that's not my community to talk about. I'm not allowed to talk about it.
I thought we were all Americans.
Right? I'm not allowed to be concerned for children dying, but I'm supposed to be outraged when a police officer shoots a kid or a Black adult. Like, that's when I'm supposed to have selective outrage about that, but I can't look to finding solutions to the root of the issue.
Yeah, you can be out there protesting they'll allow a white person to go out there protesting a white cop. But if you go out there protesting a Black gangster that killed a 7-year-old girl, you're a racist. You're a racist. It's crazy. You can go out there and protest with BLM, having your little signs up, protesting a white cop. But the second you go out there with your sign against Black gangs and Black on Black violence, you are a racist.
Right. I'm not allowed to be informed on any other issues that Black community.
No, you can't. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not allowed to be informed on that. I'll never pretend to know what it's like to like grow up in a Black community or what it's like to be Black. I'll never even.
You know what? I reject that, man, because like Black people speak on what it's like to be white all the time, because they know, like, there's a lot of people in the Black community that think they know what it's like to be white.
That's true.
They think they know what it's like to be raised in a white community. They speak on that all the time, even though they're not a part of it, or even though they don't grow up in it.
Yeah.
So I don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to like, oh yeah, you can't talk to it about the Black community because you haven't lived in the Black community. But Black people talk about everybody else.
Yeah.
No, and they're allowed to talk about everybody else.
Right.
But that's the Black privilege.
Yeah, I know. I don't know, but I think it kind of, looping back to One Patriot, I think that's a lot of what we're trying to do with One Patriot is like bring focus back to the community, right? Like start at the dinner table, support your community, support your local businesses, help eliminate some of these problems before police have to get involved. Like, how about we work on that? Like, so.
Yeah, I mean, like I've said in my past videos that we have to have community reform.
Yeah, absolutely.
Community reform. These cowardly churches need to start stepping up and start being at the forefront. Yep. Instead of they only address one. The only time these churches step up is when they're trying to step up for the leftist agenda.
Yep.
You don't ever try to see them step up for anything else.
Nope.
I don't see any churches stepping up against Black on Black crime. I don't see any churches trying to step up against or organize any kind of marches against, gang violence.
No.
It's like they used to in the past. That's what's crazy. They used to in the past. Not anymore. Everything is just like police against police. That's the only thing they're worried about.
Well,
white police officers, as if Black people are being hunted down. Dumbass LeBron James saying that Black people, he fears for his life. Get out of here. What a joke.
Who honestly thinks that officers wake up and think, well, I'm gonna hunt down a Black man today?
Exactly. Especially LeBron James.
Yeah, right. And
who has his own private security. Get out of, like, come on. Like, give me a break. That guy is a 100% joke.
Yeah.
I think I have LeBron James derangement syndrome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think how people have Trump derangement. I think I have LeBron derangement syndrome.
I think that derangement syndrome is more justified than Trump.
Yeah. I mean, because Trump, his feet were held to the fire. LeBron James' feet are never held to the fire.
No.
That whole incident where he put the bounty on that cop? I didn't see anything on ESPN about that. I didn't see anything on Fox Sports News about that. I didn't see anything. None of the mainstream outlets that cover sports said anything about that.
No.
None of them.
Not at all.
He didn't lose any sponsorships.
Because
the NBA refuses to talk about it. And he is just protected.
He took down the tweet, right? And so he's okay, I'd say. But he, even after he took down,
and then he went up and put another
take down the tweet because he put another tweet. He's like, I didn't take it down because I disagree with it or whatever. I was like, okay, so I don't know. Honestly,
he's a coward.
Yeah, he's
a coward.
And
this isn't just about one police officer. Shut your dumb ass up. Why don't you shut up and dribble, you China slave?
I was just gonna bring China. Like, why is nobody talking about the fact that he is actively supporting basically in not internment camps, but Muslim concentration camps, right? In China. Why is nobody talking about the fact that, any deals he has are any profits that he has with Chinese? I'm saying this terribly. You could probably articulate it better, but businesses and corporations that conduct their businesses in China that rely on slaves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean,
Make their profits, and nobody gives a damn about those people.
Nobody gives a damn. I mean, LeBron flats out admits it. I mean, the guy came at the Houston Rockets GM, Daryl Morey, said in a tweet he supports the Hong Kong protesters. And LeBron James came out and said he needs to keep his mouth shut on issues that he knows nothing about. Because people in this league have business deals in China, and he's messing up he's compromising those business deals. Those were his words. He flat out admitted it. And nobody said anything about it. And you go and you ask these coaches, especially coaches like Steve Kerr, who is from Arizona, and Greg Popovich, the coach for anytime you ask them about China, they go, they don't know anything about China. They speak about how bad America is, even though the NBA has a very tight relationship with China. They don't know anything about what's going on over there in China. Two highly influential Hall of Fame coaches that are very deeply rooted in the NBA. They don't know about anything that's going on in China. They whenever they're asked by the press, which is very rare, but every now and then you get this reporter that says, "What about what's going on in China?" They all of a sudden, I'm not educated enough to speak about what's going on in China, and no comment. But they have so much stuff to say about America.
Right.
They have so much stuff to say about how racist America is, when they literally have Jim Crow in China right now. Jim Crow in China. They have slaves in China. Dwayne Wade, a basketball player, has a clothing and shoe deal that the product being made in China is being produced from slave labor.
Right.
The clothes are actually made from that is picked by slaves. Uyghur Muslims are picking this cotton. So essentially, Dwayne Wade is a slave owner.
That's disgusting.
I mean, it's mind-boggling how this stuff is not being called out by mainstream media.
Right.
But Trump is the racist, though. Right. Orange man bad.
He's the xenophobe.
He's the xenophobe, yeah.
And what a disgrace. Ashamed though is like, okay, so these NBA elites and owners, okay, sure, they can, make their corrupt deals that at the back of they're benefiting off the labor of these slaves and these Jim Crow type laws in China. And so, okay, but who should really be ashamed is the people that are buying this crap, right? Like,
they're ignorant though. A lot of people are ignorant to this. I mean, I can't. I mean, it is their job to be informed, but at the end of the media is hiding this information to protect people like Steve Kerr, Greg Popovich, the NBA. They want to protect people like Dwayne Wade. They want to protect people like LeBron James.
Yeah, but it's
so they're not going to talk about how these people are profiting. Yeah, it's not hard to find. Yes, it's an easy Google search.
I guess you
but at the end of the day, people like to be spoon-fed their Huh?
It's true.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. That's true. They do like to be spoon-fed their information. They like to be these headline warriors, and you're absolutely right. But it's still they should
There's
know.
no excuse.
There's no excuse, and
Yeah.
people need to become more informed about products that they're buying in general. Like, I'm sorry, I I'm not perfect. But I try to be informed, especially if it's something that I'm really passionate about. Like, there are a lot of people who are passionate about the NBA, right? There are a lot of people who are passionate about LeBron James, and maybe ignorance is bliss and they just don't want to see it. I guess that might be part of it too. Um, but if I was that passionate about it, that I would be diving a little deeper.
Yeah, I mean, like, but the thing about these social justice warriors, they're hypocrites. These people that love to follow people like BLM, people like LeBron James, these NBA athletes, and who are put up on his pedestal. Um, they don't want to hear bad things about their heroes, so they're going to do everything in their power to avoid it, and the media helps them do it because the media will never call out somebody like LeBron James.
Right.
So it's like the perfect situation for them. So I don't know, man. It's that's why I say I don't 100% blame them for it, but they do get blamed. The consumers do get blamed because you got to know what you're purchasing, where your dollar is going.
Yep.
If you don't care, then that's one thing. If you don't care, then hey, it is what it is. But if you're going around and you're virtue signaling, you're praising these idiots like LeBron James, how great of a social justice, how great of a person he is because he fights for social justice. But then you're turning a blind eye on what he does and what he, essentially, represents. Then I mean, I gotta call you out. I have to call you out.
Yeah. It's justified, absolutely, and it needs to start happening more because I think it does create awareness, create some uncomfortable moments, but like even in like personal relationships, like somebody who's really passionate about LeBron, like just maybe mention it to them, right? Like might have a uncomfortable conversation, but they're conversations that we need to be having on a bigger scale. And
I mean, people, I don't know what it is. It's like people are like so afraid. Like people are so quick. It's very easy to call out guys like Trump or whatever, guys like, it's easy to call out guys like Trump and people from the right. But anytime you want to talk about somebody like LeBron or somebody like Joe Biden, there like an army forms.
Yep.
There's like an army that forms. Like, I mean, comedians don't even want to say anything about Joe Biden. They don't want to even create any material that may put Joe Biden in a bad light.
Which is a
And they come
shame
up
because
with
there's so much good material.
I know there's so much good material. But they're saying, oh, we can't. He's such a great guy that we can't even come up with anything good. So that's their excuse.
That's
and I'm like,
so
what the hell? That is 100% false. There's like, he is a walking gaff.
I know.
How can you not come up with anything?
I could think of like 20 things off the top of my head right now, and I'm not
Absolutely.
even my kids think my jokes are funny, but that's that ends. So yeah, I don't know. I just I do have some hope there is some anti-wokeness coming through, which is kind of soothing a little bit. I was at a farmer's market earlier today, and it's like I don't know how many compliments, like quiet compliments about not wearing my mask. And it's like,
Yeah.
you're being so courageous, but literally under breath. And it's like,
because they don't want to be attacked by the mob.
I know, but people, I don't know. I think people are starting to get over the wokeness, and I think that's a good start. Like at least people can say,
I think 2022 is going to be very important because it's going to indicate the direction that we're going to go in, where that we're going to go in this country. It's going to be, and I think
oh, go ahead.
I think that there's going to be tremendous pushback.
Absolutely.
Tremendous pushback.
And the thing is with 2022 elections, and what kind of gives me a little hope too, is like more conservatives and Republicans come out to vote in those elections than presidential election.
Yeah.
So, fingers.
Yeah, I mean, like even this last election was actually a very, very good election for Republicans, despite losing the presidency, despite losing the Senate majority, because they closed the gap so much in the House, and then they also destroyed the Democrats in the state legislature elections, just annihilated them.
Yep.
So what's going to happen in these next elections for 2022 and 2024, they are going to be able to dictate. Remember how the Democrats were able to dictate what happened in the 2020 elections? The Democrats are not going to be able to do that anymore.
No.
They're not going to be able to cheat. The rules are going to be changed back to normal. So, and did you hear about the thing that happened? They're having the audit in Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And they put a pause on it. Yep.
And the Democrats, the Democrats are going to have to come up with $1 million to give in damages to give to the I think it was the prosecution.
I didn't hear that aspect.
Yeah, they're gonna have to give up $1 million because they're trying to stop the audit or delay the audit. So because of that, the George ordered $1 million.
Wow.
But the thing is that I don't know, man. Over the weekend, is there going to be some shady business?
I'm sure.
We'll see.
Why do you think they stopped the counting? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to get.
Why is there always?
But yeah, why these pauses? It's very concerning. It's highly concerning. So.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm confident that these 2022 elections are going to be very, very bad news for Democrats. They know, and which is why they're trying to push through everything right now. These crazy things like the 51st state, and they're trying to pack the courts, and they're trying to do all of this stuff, which is why,
unconstitutional, by the way. I'm just saying, like.
Yeah, absolutely. They're trying to pack the courts. They're trying to do all this crazy extreme stuff. You know what I mean?
They want to.
They're fighting back. They're fighting back against better voting laws. They're having a temper tantrum. They're throwing their toys around. They're taking their ball and they're going home. You know what I mean? They're panicking right now.
Yeah,
they're panicking right now.
Absolutely.
So that's a good sign because they know that they're going to lose power in 2022.
It's true, and I think another piece too is people are realizing like, I think that a lot of people voted against Trump because a lot of the same reason is the Chauvin trial, right? Like they were just
Uh-huh.
scared. Like they don't want to see their country burn. Like, and
Yeah, because
now
Trump
it's
was
like,
tied to
oh
that,
well, they didn't stop the riots. Like,
which is why I'm almost like, this is why I'm kind of leaning towards wanting DeSantis to become the nominee.
I know I have some mixed feelings on it, but
Yeah.
I would support um I would support this.
Yeah, but if Trump decides to run, that's that. Trump is going to be the nominee.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump is going to be the nominee. It's all up to Trump. Trump will dictate the future of this country.
Yeah.
He has so much power. I think he has even more power than Biden. I still think he has more power than Biden.
I agree with that because he has a force behind him.
Yes.
And a movement behind him. Biden doesn't have anything. Nobody cares about Biden. Nobody cares about Biden. Nobody cares about Kamala. They didn't want Trump.
Yeah.
And Biden is now upsetting progressives. Like he has no united front behind him.
Yeah. There's no, the party is broken, and the Republicans are actually, they're pretty united. At least more united than the Democrats are right now. Biden is going to lose a lot of support when it comes to the moderates. He's going to lose a lot of support when it comes to the progressives as well, because he's trying to keep that balance. The Republicans, for the most part, they know that Trump is the kingmaker, and they have to fall in line. They're gonna have to fall in line.
Yep.
Which is what Mitch McConnell hates, but he better get used to it.
Bitch McConnell.
Yeah. God. Can't stand that guy. But
here we are.
They thought that after Trump got out that it was just going to be, oh yes, back to normal. Nope, it's not back to normal.
No.
Your party is completely changed into a populist movement, a populist first, America first movement. Mm-hmm. It's no longer the party of the big corporations anymore. It's the party for the people now.
Yep, which is a wild pendulum swing, but
yeah,
but good on him, and I hope it stays that way.
Yeah, I mean, like it really is. I mean, look at who all the corporations are for. They're all about being woke now. They're all about the biggest corporations. Yeah, and that's when like, I don't know how these woke people don't see it. Like, whenever a corporation is getting behind your idea, don't you think that there's something wrong? Like, hold on, like whatever I'm getting behind, the corporations are getting behind too. It's like, something ain't right.
Right.
Something ain't right. You're not the revolutionary that you think you are.
Exactly. I don't know why that doesn't get through people's skulls. It's like there is a case, there is movement, conscious capitalism, etc. Corporate social responsibility. But at the end of the day, I won't say all corporations. I can't say that.
Yeah.
A lot of these corporations are literally just doing it as part of their strategy.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not against corporations. I'm against crony corporatists.
Exactly.
Yes. I'm not against capitalism. Right. I'm against crony capitalism. So at the end of the day, if you're a slimy crony corporatist, then I want no parts of you.
Nope.
So.
Nope. And what people need to start looking at too is like, what actions are these corporations actually taking? Like, if there's a corporation that's not just like, here's a bunch of money that we're gonna send to BLM, like that's not that's not true activism. That's craftivism. Like,
Yeah.
that's not genuine and that's not sincere. If there are corporations that are like giving their employees incentives to go make change in their communities and paid volunteer time off or efforts like that, that is a corporation I can get that I can get behind. These corporations and businesses that genuinely care for their communities. That's cool. That's cool. But not this generic woke baloney.
Yeah, it's all baloney. It's all BS. It's all garbage. It's something that I would never like. I would, oh God. And BLM in it, even that in itself is just a big joke.
Ugh.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Terrorist organization.
Yeah. That's turned from terrorism.
And
actually, America's kind of great. I can buy $1 million mansions. That's kind of nice.
I know, what a joke. I mean, and then people try to separate the movement and the organization. No, I don't separate. No, it's all just no. I don't separate either. They're both one and the same as far as I'm concerned. Black lives matter. No, all lives matter. Sorry. People get so triggered by somebody saying all lives matter. They even killed a woman for saying all lives matter.
I know. And why did that fall off the radar? No one wants to talk about that.
Because she was white and she was killed by BLM.
Yep. Oh, that was so tragic. That poor kid. She was a mom. So
yeah.
Anyway. Well,
do you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
I mean, I could talk to you for hours about many, many things. But I think for the subjects we're on for the moment, I think that about wraps it up.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining us again for another episode of One Patriot. Covered all the topics that we wanted to cover. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the like button and share this with all your friends.
Yes, please. Support your small commentators and small YouTubers. It's
because these are the people who are actually out there and actually care about real information that goes out. We don't want to try to control a narrative. We just want to put out the facts and give our opinion on it, but at least we give you the full facts.
Right. The objective.
Don't leave out certain points.
Right.
And important factors of events that happen.
Right. We believe that you are smart enough to form your own opinion. So
yes, like I said.
Or the objective fact with our again, I give you our opinion because
don't take our word for it. Don't take our opinion. Go out after we say something, go out and do your own research. Look at other content creators and get their perspective. Yeah. But don't just go off of big media and don't just go off of these news outlets that only want to give you a certain narrative.
Right. Speaking of that, I didn't know if you wanted to shout out your other channel.
Yes, my channel on YouTube is called Burning Spear Patriot. Go to that channel, subscribe to that channel. My latest video is it's something else. It picked up a lot of views, actually, more views than I've had in a while. Probably because I was talking about LaChina James, LaWoke James, LaBitch James. So I have a lot of videos on there covering a lot of topics, and I started it last year. And once again, it's called Burning Spear Patriot, all one word.
I'll put a link.
Check that channel out.
Yeah, that's a good channel. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
So.
Appreciate that.
Anytime. Well, all right. I think we're going to sign off. And thank you again so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We should have a website up soon, so keep eyes peeled for that. Lots of big things coming, so I can't wait to share them with you.
Absolutely.
All right. We will. Bye.
Bye-bye.